Hello, are you out there? It's Mark with Redo Over, and we are back to Stellaris, our in-depth tutorial, episode 3. Yeah. And we are jumping right into, if you recall, traditions. Now, this icon popped up because we accumulated enough unity to unlock our first possible tradition. So we can see up here our unity, we've accumulated 369. Okay. And then we're just going to click on the traditions available. And you can see the cost is 300. And there's 0 months left. So this progress bar will fill up. So once we select your tradition, the progress bar will empty. And this number will go to, I don't know, 800. And it'll start filling up again. It'll tell us how many months out we are. So you could do a build that specifically is going after culture to try and get through the traditions as quickly as you can. They're very powerful. So we've got a couple things. We have 7 total traditions we will be able to select for our empire as we play through the game. And as we go there, each tradition tree that we complete will unlock an ascension perk. And in the end, the final one, I think you just get when you've unlocked the last one, or there's something that unlocks it. I can't remember. But eventually you get these ascensions, which are nice big fat buffs. So we're not going to get to those yet. Let's start with just selecting select. All right, here we go. There are 9 total traditions. I will read through them just real quickly. Adaptability, diplomacy, discovery, domination, which is in like, I don't know, like authoritarian domination, if I personally, that's how I look at it. Expansion, harmony, mercantilisticism, prosperity, and right down here, supremacy. Supremacy leans towards militaristic, like naval ships and capacity, versus domination, which is kind of like more of domination over your own people. So, out of the 9, there's far more of them if you get all the DLCs, but in the vanilla game, we've got 9. Now, some of them are going to be much more useful in the early game. Because you might sit there and think, well, geez, there's 9 of them, and we're going to get 7 of them eventually. Can't be that big of a deal, right? Well, some of them are much better suited for early game. Some of them are suitable no matter when you pick them, early game, mid game, late game. And others will benefit you much more in the late game and ebb off possibly in the late game. Some might be good early, but ebb off. So you've got all these curves essentially, linear growth curves and falling returns. As I look at it, I know discovery is a pretty nice one early on. Earlier the better. It essentially just allows you to get research faster and really work on anomalies, that kind of stuff. The sooner you have that in the game, the better off it's going to be. And in general, it's useful through the whole game. So it's a good pick on the early side. You wait till later, it's not going to be bad then. It's just you're not going to get a lot less bang for the buck. Another good one I would say early game is expansion. It is truly to grow your empire out colony-wise, like more star bases, more colonies, quicker colony growth. And that's much better in the early game. And that's one of those ones that will ebb off in the late game. But if you have had a very specific build, like you were going to go like all hard into military and navy, you'd obviously launch into supremacy right away. If you were doing a trade merchant type of build, you'd go into mercantile right away. I think that's, I don't want to say it's obvious, but yeah, there you go. Some of these other ones, like diplomacy, would be specifically for diplomacy build. Diplomacy is a little tricky in the early game, though. It's one you wouldn't choose in early game so much because you haven't really made contact with other Xenos. You will eventually, but like on this first pick, we haven't even met another alien civilization. So diplomacy, not your first pick. Okay. So let's go expansion. Sure. Well, actually, let's just take a quick pause and think about what our strengths are. So as I look at adaptability, let's look at discovery and expansion. Let's look at those two, and then we'll compare to what suits our human civilization the best. How about that? So we're synergizing and making things we're already strong in even stronger. That's how you win at Stellaris. So right off the bat, expansion here, we must expand our civilization to new systems and planets or risk eventual extinction. So right off the bat here, when we adopt this, we're going to get colony development speed at a plus 25%, habitat alloy upkeep minus 20, and habitat districts alloy upkeep minus 20. We don't have any habitats right now, so don't worry about that. The finisher, when we've completed the entire tree, will yield all expansion traditions grant a +1 max district on non-artificial planets, so meaning terrestrial planets, planets, and 1 ascension perk. So that's what we'll get when we've unlocked all 5 of these. Yeah? Now, in here, we have Reach for the Stars, which is star-based influence cost minus 10%. That just means it's a little easier for us to develop star bases, which do require influence. You'll recall that influences are very limited resource. We only gain around 2, 3, or 4 per turn, pretty much for the whole game. So a 10% discount's not a bad thing. Under that, you have Courier Network, which empire size from systems is minus 25%. Empire size from planets is minus 25%. So this is very useful when you're trying to keep a cap on your empire size. And on the other side of that tree there, that fork, you have Galactic Ambition. Starbase upkeep, minus 20%. Obviously, the more star bases you have, the more useful that will be. I do wonder, though, with star bases, we have star base capacity. Do our little mining units right there, is that a star base? What do we call that? It's a mining station, not a star base. Stations for research and mining harvesting are not star bases, so I don't think we would get a 20% discount on the upkeep to that. Just difference there. Okay, let's jump back in. Let's jump back. Let's go back to expansion. On the other side of the expansion tree, colonization fever. Any new colony will start with 1 additional pop. Free pop. That's a good one to have before you start launching your initial couple colonies. Now, we've talked about how there's 2 habitable planets we're going to want to colonize shortly. I could see rushing into expansion and grabbing that early so we get that free population earlier in the game. And below that is a new life. Pop growth speed plus 10%. Yeah, that's all good. I mean, everything in there is useful. So obviously at some point you might stop colonizing, so that +1 to pop would be less useful, but the plus 10% to growth speed, that'll always be decent. The starbase influence cost being lower is not bad. Starbase upkeep being lower will always be good. Empire size subtractions, percentage decreases will always be good. Okay, let's look at discovery real quick. So our curiosity about the universe is what got us this far, and there's still much left to discover. So right off the bat, when we choose this, we're going to unlock the Map the Stars edict. I don't think we have any edicts running, so that might be a nice one just because it would give us an edict to jump into right off the bat. And anomaly research speed increased by 20%. Yeah. Now, you can find anomalies as your science ships are out there. You can elect to not research them, the anomaly, right then and leave it, and later on you can come back to it. So that's one of those ones where you could wait maybe for the 2nd or 3rd trait pick, not trait pick, but tradition pick before you go for that. Research those later. Potentially. The capstone on this, once we have discovered all 5 of the little squares in here, we've unlocked them, we will get a plus 10% research speed bonus. That's forever in the game. That's never a bad thing. And of course, we'll unlock the Ascension perk. Every one of these will give us an Ascension perk at the end. Let's look at the pieces inside. To boldly go. Survey speed plus 35%. Ship, science ship disengage chance plus 50. That's just if they find a space monster, they have a better chance of popping out without getting destroyed. It's limited use on that. Next down on there is database uplinks. Unlock the research subsidies edict. Could be useful, although I believe that will be a significant drain on our energy, though we've got a lot of surplus energy. If you look up here, a lot of extra energy, so I can see that being useful. Research station output increased by 20%. So that's all of our, we were just talking about mining stations, research stations. All those give us 20% extra science juices. We squeeze the science out of them. Yeah, I like that. And research from star-based constructions increased by 20%. Probably not a whole lot of buildings we can put on star bases that would give us science, but there's some. I think there's like the Black Hole Observatory or something. Yeah, it'd help a little bit. On this side, the science division, research alternatives +1. So that's when we go and we pick, we have 3 options, we'll get a 4th option every time. And because those are somewhat randomly selected, like some are kind of locked in a tree, but some are random, it just gives us a lot more options. I mean, you can only choose one at a time, but you get, it's just more variability. Better chance that things you skipped on before will come back up, or things you didn't get when you wanted it will come up on the next round. Scientist capacity +1. I think our capacity, would we say, is it a 3 scientists right now or 4? That it'll add 1 to it. So that's just not a bad thing. And scientists starting skill level at a +1. So instead of them starting at skill level 1, they start at skill level 2 when we hire new ones. That ain't bad. Below that, polytechnic education. Leader pool size +1. That's just overall. So if, for example, if we go to our leaders tab, right now we can have 3, 3, and 3. And I don't know if there's just an overall max, but yeah, I'd say we'd be maxed at 9. But with that is saying, yeah, we can have 1 more scientist, and then our overall leader cap goes to what? I don't quite know how that works. Sorry, this hasn't always been this way in the game. So what would that mean? I don't see a total leader cap that says like you may have 3 in each category, but 9 total. It's like, maybe? Is there a leader cap? Geez. I'm not exactly sure. I would be curious to see how that works. Okay, let's jump back in. So that's a question mark. That's something that's worth discovering. And leader experience gains increase by 10%. So your leaders will level up more quickly. That's not a bad thing. And finally, the last one on that side, the right side, is research upkeep. Researchers upkeep. These are your scientists in the jobs, in buildings. Their upkeep is reduced by 20%. Not only is that like, it's kind of like everything. I think that's the consumer goods that they're consuming is lessened, as well as like energy upkeep costs and stuff like that. They're both really nice. I almost feel like expansion should be the one we go for first, though, and then we'll jump back over here into discovery, because I have a feeling we're going to be building colony ships pronto. So let's start with this, and we are going to go for that new colony. Start with 1 additional pop. That'll be the first thing we select. So we're going to adopt that. Yes, and you'll notice that we don't get to choose one of these yet. Here's what's going to happen. As we generate unity, we now have to get to 343 for the next tier. We drop down to 69. Okay. And it's going to take 8 months to fill that. Now, when we hit that, we can then select one of these 5, or we can go into another tradition and start working on that. I believe, though, if you have multiple traditions open at the same time, not capped, it can make them cost more. It's like an inefficiency. I think it's better to try and delve all the way through to tradition, complete it before going to the next one. Let's find out. We'll find out what happens in 8 months. Okay, so we've done the selection, though. That means we are going to get extra. What do we get? Oh, right over here. Here we go. Colony development speed plus 25%. So we're not really getting anything right now, to be completely blunt. So we'll zoom to our galaxy view, and we're going to look over here. It looks like we've got our science ship surveying. Constructor is idle in the Sol system. Is that true? Oh, no, they're going to go build that research, the last research station for that physics research. They're going to go build it here shortly. Civilian fleet's just in orbit. Docked, I should say. They're not doing nothing. Earth is currently working on... What are you working on, Earth? What Industrial district, then clearing a sprawling slum, which will get us 1 extra population when all those destitute people are lifted up and incorporated into society. Free pop. It's a billion new workers. Soul Shipyard is not working on anything. Gosh, what would we need? Potentially jump to the shipyard. Let's go with that second constructor. Or we just bite the bullet and get that colony ship built right now. It takes a year to build it. Let's do it. Colony ship with humans on board. Now, it says select colonists. I could theoretically, if I had other aliens, Xenos in my civilization, I could make a colony ship specifically loaded with one type of Xeno and send them to a world that maybe they're specifically well suited for. But for right now, all we got is them humans. We're going to build that. That's going to take a while. Kind of what I'm trying to calculate is that by the time Alpha Centauri is fully surveyed, you can see there's a lot of survey options, or Niam is fully surveyed. If I mouse over here, Niam will go much quicker. We'll see what happens. Let's run the game. All right, we got a first contact protocol. A recent encounter with alien life forms has reignited and made suddenly more urgent the old debate on how we should approach contacting any potentially intelligent alien civilizations we may meet. Now, we have not contacted one yet. We found protozoan level, single cellular life. So we know there's life, and we surmise we must definitely find intelligent life. If basic life is so common, just on the next star system over, or the next system that's on the network, we're going to find a lot more life out there. Maybe some precursor seeded life throughout the galaxy, possibly. Well, some advocate focusing on establishing friendly relations as quickly as possible by contacting them with a message of peace. Others advise caution, pointing out that we cannot know whether alien minds bear ill intent towards us or that it would be unwise to let them know too much about us before it is necessary. A little dark horse hypothesis. Let's make our choice here. We shall greet the Xenos with open arms. So what that means is that we're proactive. We're trying to open communication with them. We're reaching out to them. What that means is that it gains 50% more influence for each successful first contact that we make. So when we discover another Xeno, they'll discover us at the same moment. But we won't have detected. We're going to then be in a race to see who can open up communications first. Meaning translating language, understanding each other culturally. And whichever Xeno does that first gets an influence bonus. It's a prize, essentially. First contact speed plus 10%. I think that's not a bad option for us. We are essentially Xenophiles, Xeno lovers. And the other option is it would be wise to be cautious. What this just means is that the target difficulty is increased by 2. And I think difficulties have to do with how different your species are from each other. And otherwise, we cannot attack neutral entities. Oh, wow. Other nations will find it harder to establish communications with us. Yeah, we're just standoffish. We're not open. Up here, though, we can also, though, if we go with open arms, we also cannot attack neutral. This could be space life forms as well as Xenos and spaceships. And other Xenos will find it easier to establish communications. Now, you'll notice down here, the bottom option is grayed out. The top two are in white. We can select them. The bottom one is grayed out, though, and we can see the red X down here can set policy on first contact protocol to aggressive. But, yeah, this is... You can attack neutral entities. Enables hostile first contact options such as abduction and dissection. Alien probing. You know what I'm saying. Yeah. We're not doing that. So we will go with open arms. We're going to try and take that benefit. And I'm not mistaken. We look up here. We are Xenophile. So trade value plus 10. It doesn't really lean into that so much. But yeah, that's what we are. I'm looking over our different things. None of our things really lean into first contact. But yeah, screw it. We'll go for it. I realized when I picked our tradition, I was supposed to look at what humans could do well. But looking at it now, none of these things really play into anything either. Except maybe our empire size from pop spin at minus 15% will synergize with our expansion. Because we have less empire size from planets and systems, if you recall, as well as population. So maybe in that sense we...
Complete.
Oh, we are running. Okay. Yeah. Long story short, let's continue. Boom. What do we can finish here? That is the station. Awesome. And let's... Now that we know there's nothing else in the Sol system because there's no more icons available. Like here, this energy with the white 3, they're done. I can mouse over and I can see the green. Those are our energy, our minerals, our researches, our trade. It's all green. We've exploited everything. Let's send our constructor ship to Niam because Niam is going to finish. I'm going to just... I right-clicked on Niam and I'm going to click move here. They're going to go. This science ship will finish exploring Niam well before Alpha Centauri finishes. And of course, our colony ship is in the production queue, and let us roll the clock forward. By the way, I can clear this out. I can just click on it to clear that. We're running forward at a normal speed. So here, just so FYI, is our science ship is searching for things in Alpha Centauri. They essentially discovered that Alpha Centauri A has 3 energy. That's what the surveying does. So if I click on the ship here, look at this crazy core zipping around. So they've already looked at this Alpha Centauri 5 toxic world and probably the moon, 5A. They're useless. They don't have anything useful. But as this science ship zips through these stars, these planets, they will reveal more and more things that we can harvest out of the system. Just... That's what it's doing there. So we will hit play. I can see energy being discovered up here in the Niam system. I'm watching progress on our shipyard, and I'm watching Earth rocking out that industrial district. We might take a pause when they finish that. I could probably run the clock forward a little faster. There goes the constructor. And I'll pause right there. The Niam system has been fully surveyed. Awesome. We'll hit OK. Now, why that's important, you'll notice we do get the pop-up system surveyed. Niam system has been fully surveyed. Great. I'll just click that off. But I want to move our science ship to a new system. Don't let them just sit there. It's critical. And you'll notice we have the red Z's on our science ship, the UNS Darwin, with their captain, Jessica Newman. Remember, they waited a long time before we gave them the first mission. It is time to send Newman off somewhere else. Bernard Star or the Demon's Maw. I almost feel like Bernard Star is a safer bet for right now. I think it's more likely that Bernard Star, which is an actual red dwarf not too far from Earth, I think it's like sitting like 5 light years or something. Let's send him out. So I'm just going to select. You can see it's highlighted, and we will send the Darwin. I'll right-click, and I'll say Survey System. Remember, that will move them there and then begin the survey process. It's essentially going to load up their queue with all of the objects in that system. So that's happening. We're still paused. And yeah, we actually shot right through those 8 months. Here we are with our next culture pick. So you could see that the top tier of these are highlighted in gold. We may choose one or the other. And I think we're going to probably choose Colonization Fever, I would say. Or maybe Starbase Influence Cost would be a better choice quicker. Probably would. Why? Because, say at Niam, I can't do anything at Niam until I've built a basic starbase. I have to claim it. And we'll get into that in a moment. But before we do that, let's go over here and hit Select. Does it say anything about detriments? I'm not seeing anything about detriments. It looks like if we wanted to, we could open up another tree right now, another tradition tree. But I don't think that's usually ever a recommended procedure. So, that being said, I want to go with Starbase Influence Cost minus 10% before I choose Colonization Fever. There's a couple reasons for that. We're going to select it. We will spend the 343. We'll hit yes. It jumped up to 448, so it's growing. You know, it's sort of a linear upward slope. Like that. It'll be 11 months. We'll hit close. And the nice thing is, as long as our empire size stays below 100, we won't get extra cost to those traditions in our research So that's why early on in the game, having a smaller empire really helps you out because it makes things cheaper for long. Okay? But let's take a look at something that maybe isn't so obvious. Earth's sphere of influence is kind of represented by this blue line. This area inside is our sphere of Earth's influence. However, although Niam is the name is turned white as opposed to gray, that signifies that it's fully surveyed. It's ready for us to exploit, but it's not in our system yet. And you think, oh, well, do we got to colonize it? No. You could bring a system into your influence without colonizing. And imagine here at Demon's Maw, that's a black hole. We're not going to find a habitable planet there. We're not. We're not going to ever colonize at the Demon's Maw, but we can bring it into our influence. How? By building a basic starbase there. Is it a starbase? Yeah, I mean, it doesn't count against the starbase capacity. Let's see what it's called. But we're gonna get a bonus or a detriment. So the constructor's nearly there. If I select the constructor and I right click on Niam, you can see that build starbase outpost. So it is a starbase, but it's called an outpost, right? You see it's in brackets. It does not count against our starbase max of 3 right now. But the influence cost on this and the alloy cost used to be 75 influence and 100 alloy. But because we just chose the tradition square, the option we did, we get a 10% discount. Well, 10% of 75 is 7.5 rounded up to 8. 75 to 67 on influence. And 100 alloy to 90 alloy, that's 10 out of 100. That's 10%. So by choosing this first, I'm getting us immediate savings right now on our resources. By the time the colony ship might be ready to go colonize this not very habitable planet, it would be ready to do. So I'm not going to have them build this just yet because I want to show you something. I'm going to just continue with the move here. And let's actually double click and zoom in. Here comes our constructor. You see it just popped in from the Sol system right down here. Now I know that I can harvest energy around Niam A, the main star here, the orange star. So I'm going to click my constructor. You see it's just flying there anyway, but I'm going to right click on the star. And I'm going to say build mining station for 100 minerals. I've got 577. I have enough minerals, but what it's saying is this star is not within our borders. So the order of operations is you send a science ship to an unknown system. The science ship or ships survey all the objects. Once it's fully surveyed, you build an outpost, a starbase outpost. That then, you claim that. Only one Xeno species can build that outpost in the system. So if we build it first, it's ours. Even if other Xenos come in, even if they have a fleet, they would have to conquer the outpost militarily, or if we've upgraded it to a more powerful starhold or something, they would have to conquer that. But rather than it being destroyed, they capture it. They send Marines on board. It becomes theirs. And now the system is theirs. So long story short, what we need to do now is say, you know what? We can't build a mining station, but we can build a star-based outpost. We have enough influence. We have enough alloy. Let's do it. Oh, I'm getting sneezy. Ooh. Now, they're going to zip ahead and do that. Once that starbase outpost is done, I will then be able to harvest the energy by building a station, an energy station to harvest the solar power coming off the star. It's complex-ish. It's not obvious, but it's pretty simple. Your science ships go out first, followed by your constructors, where they build the starbase, then they develop all the resources, then you send in colony ships. Now, I can colonize Niam 2 as soon as the outpost is built. I do not have to wait till the constructor harvests all these resources. How do we know that? Because Earth is already inhabited, even though there were resources we hadn't fully maximized in the Sol system yet. Yeah, there you go. I don't think I'm going to send the colony ship here, though. This planet, shit, that does not look good. 15% habitability. Let's click on it. We'll go in. Check this out. Here's an IM2. It's an arid world. So arid doesn't really suit us. We are temperate. Yeah, right. We're humans. So when I look here, arid world, and you can see habitability value 15% to a human. Now, it's a continental preference we have. We're continental. We're the continental, fine champagne, right? Adaptive plus 10%. That's the only reason that's even sitting at 15. So here we go. We have 20% plus 10% is 30%. It would be in the green. But because we have unstable tectonics minus 10 and wild storms minus 5, it dumps us down. 15 minus 30 equals 15. It's in red because it's saying it's not good. I think you have red, yellow, which is marginal, and green, which is good. A green world is like, oh yeah, you want this. It's well suited for you. There may be other colors in there. We'll figure it out. But yeah, penalties from a low habitability world like this. Pop amenity usage goes up 85%. It's nearly doubled. Pop upkeep, nearly doubled. Resources from jobs, minus 42.5%, nearly halved. And pop growth speed, nearly halved. Colonizing this world would be a drain on our economy. And what's interesting about Stellaris, unlike a lot of other conquest 4X style games, is that you just want it. You grow at any cost. It'll be worth it eventually. But if we were to put people on this, it would bleed us dry. It really would hurt. Like you might be able to colonize a 50% habitable world and just kind of suck it up. Eventually it'll get better. We'll get technologies that make it better. We'll get to 60%, 70, 80. Sure. This, nah, there's nothing we can do with this. The size, FYI, planet size is 12 with a planet capacity, a pop capacity of 39. Not for us. And here, this is interesting. You see these little icons? This is the unstable tectonic icon. These little circles can be positive or negative. They just unique things certain planets will have. Some planets won't have anything special, but this has two. Yeah. Habitability minus 10, happiness minus 5. People don't like the earthquakes. Engineering bonus from jobs, 20%. Engineering research. You learn a lot about planetary engineering from the tectonic seismic activity. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And wild storms, habitability minus 5, happiness minus 5, physics research plus 20. Ooh, if only we were really hardy scientists, but we're not. We'd be extremely unhappy scientists. You can see here, though, there's your districts, 9 available of a total of 12. That relates to that planet size of 12. That's where that number comes from. And we could go into the features, actually, as well. And this is kind of like orbital surveying. Yeah, from space, our science ship was able to scan the surface and see marvelous oasis, or veined cliffs, geothermal vents, arid highlands, quicksand basins, deep sinkholes, and more deep sinkholes. Each of these can be moused over. These are standard blockers. But yeah, it's just a generator district. So geothermal vents, 3 additional generator districts, meaning energy generator districts. It's like, yeah, it's hydrothermal. Ore veins lead to mineral districts here. Yeah, that's where it all comes from. So all these squares, all these different types of squares come from different stuff. The city districts and the industry districts are essentially all the available space, 9. You notice there's a 3x3 and a 3x3 grid, 9 and 9. We could ignore all the generator, all the mineral, all the farming. We just build factories and housing on top of the whole damn planet. We make think Coruscant or Trantor or something, almost an Echinopolis. Not that there, because that's actually in the game, but like, but you just pave everything. You pave everything in parking lots. That's what you do. But no, the energy districts come from these features. The 2 mining. So why is this important? Because this world, even if we were compatible with it, biocompatible, you would never turn this into a mining world. You're not going to build mining-related buildings. You're going to, at best, make it into an energy generator world or a mix of, industry, city, and energy. Even farming is kind of crappy out for the time. So, yeah. There you go. So anyway, our constructor, the UNS India, is going to build our first output in another solar system outpost, and we're going to take ye old Starship, and she is on her way to, that's the Darwin, is on her way to Bernard's star, which I believe again is a massive red giant. We'll see what kind of planets are there. Can we see? Ooh, there we can see. We got Bernard's star and a couple of planets. We have a gas giant with a moon. Molten world. I don't think we're going to be colonizing that one, folks. Barren world. Barren world. So we've already pretty much determined there's not a lot we can do with this. Shit, that sucks. Are we wasting our time going there? No, I don't think so. I usually kind of explore system by system. I don't usually jump ahead. I could, though. I could go to the... Is that Otari? Otari Expanse? Or I could jump ahead here. Let's do that. Let's take a risk. If we're pretty confident that Bernard's star is no bueno, then screw Bernard's star. Let's move ahead. Let's move ahead to the Utari Expanse. Survey that system. So we will bypass Bernard's star. We won't explore it. Or survey it for right now. Okay. That's enough chit-chat. And Earth is almost done with that industrial district, so let's move ahead. And I'll speed it up a little bit. So we're running on fast mode. We're just about done. Boom. So Earth completed. Let's jump in there real quick. They just finished an industrial district. That gave us 2 extra jobs. If you remember, we have an extra alloy job and an extra metallurgist and artisan. Artisans make consumer goods, and metallurgists make alloys. Now, look what happened. Those jobs filled up immediately. Instead of having 2 of 3 artisan slots, we just have 3 of 3. They filled in immediately. Why? Because they left the clerk jobs. Those workers promoted themselves. They didn't want to be clerks anymore. Our clerks are now at 2 of 5. So we jump into the population. We jump down here. We can see that, yeah, clerks are clearing out in a hurry. You know what? That's okay. Clerks are, they're not that great. They're not that great. They're a little bit good, but they're not that great. I can see one issue, though. Every time we lose a clerk, we're losing +3 amenities generation. Amenities, that's the good stuff. The parks, the fountains, the good Wi-Fi. Amenities. We're getting dangerously low. Our available amenities, although not negative, is getting pretty tight for the amount of people we have. So probably don't want to lose any more clerks. So I'd say when our population grows from developing the sprawling slums, those people are going to become clerks, and that'll help with our amenities a little bit. But yeah, they'll be doing that for a while. Let's hit play. Obviously, our tradition culture will build up here bit by bit. It is going. Just thought of something. Did we get an edict available? I don't think we did. I want to jump in real quickly to our government tab. Oh, do I want to look at all this right now? Maybe, maybe not. Hold on. Let me just jump into edicts. Interesting. Yeah. Should we talk about it? Sure, let's do it. All right, back to the government tab. So here we are. This is the United Nations of Earth. This is our government ethics diagram, and it comprises fanatical egalitarianism and xenophile. Just regular xenophile, not fanatical xenophile. We're not fanatic alien lovers. We have Minister of Defense right there. We have our President Dolores. We have Herman Wagner is our chief scientist. And have any of them leveled up? They're all still skill level 1. And here we have Yoshi Murakami. Sorry, I butchered that. He's the Minister of State. What is he getting us? So his effect on our empire is +2% to envoy stuff, first contact speed, filtration speed. Interesting. Can we see... let's see, I'm trying to see right here. No? I'm trying to see if I can see where their experience level lies. I see their official level is a 1. Great. His skill level is 1 of 10. I really thought we would see an experience bar there. It's not under age. Yeah. Alright, well... Oh, maybe this is it. Oh, here we go. Experience for Yoshi is 231. He will get the level 2 at 400 total skill. So he's getting a certain amount. So, I don't know how much he's gaining. Let's advance it. Let's let the month roll around from 24 to 1, and we'll see where he moves from 231 up to what. We'll just see what being in this position does for him. So, let's advance the clock. Boom. We'll stop it there. Awesome. We're going to look at that in just a moment. I'm going to jump into the government tab. Let's go back to Yoshi and back to his progress bar. 241. So every month you get 10 experience. I guess that's what's going on. So yeah, it takes a long time for them to level up. 40 months to go from the beginning of level 1 to level 2. I'm sure that experience segment will increase. So long story short, depending on what, pretty much any commander or scientist or official can be slotted into these jobs. You can kind of rearrange your cabinet. Although the president, I think, has to be elected since we're a democracy. But that'll happen every 10 years. So long story short, you might choose one of your leaders based off of their special capabilities. So for instance, what? Right there. Ethics? No. Where is your special ability? Let's leave this tab and jump into the leaders tab real quick. See if I can make this a little easier on myself. Here we go. Here's Dolores. Dolores' special talent is Eye for Talent. Yoshi's special talent is Fertility Preacher. He promotes extra growth and extra food. Pop growth and food. Okay. So say we didn't want that. We could choose a different leader. We could recruit a different official that, say, had Frontier Spirit. Colony ship build cost minus 25%. Colony development speed plus 15%. That actually sounds like not a bad idea at all. Because we know we're at the point where we would like to colonize. So we would have to, of course, make this person in charge of that. Maybe we do that. Let's hire Suburia, Saro, Wiwa, just so that we can get that frontier spirit. Oh, I like that idea. Let's do it. Hire the leader. Yes, we're going to spend 100 unity. We will then close that out. This is telling us that we have an idle leader that's not doing a job. So let's go back into not our leaders tab, but our government tab. And let's take Yoshi. Oh, there's his fertility preacher. Sorry, with all the icons, I wasn't seeing that. But let's change him out to Subura Saro Wiwa. Can I select her? Yes. Now she's promoting Frontier Spirit. Now, it kind of sucks because I already paid the colony build costs. I don't think they're going to reimburse us on that. I don't think so. But the development speed will be 15%, and our next colony ship will be at a minus 25% cost. So in the early game, she's superior to Yoshi. There you go. That's a little bit of that stuff. Now, under our United Nations of Earth, we have a couple of things. We have agendas that we can launch, and that's relatively new to me, but we'll look into it. Agenda is something that the whole cabinet is kind of working on together, and while they're developing it and then launching it, you'll get bonuses. So let's take a look at that first. I'm going to close out of here because what we have is council agenda ready. Your council agenda is ready to be activated. We'll click on it. So all this time, we've been working on the launch agenda, the infinite opportunities agenda. It took a long time. So time to launch, 159 months. That's an extremely long time. Months, not days, not ticks of the calendar, but months. So initial modifier, citizen pop happiness is plus 4%. Once it's launched, the citizen happiness will go up to plus 10%, and this effect will last for 10 years. Now, what I'm not exactly clear on is the time to launch taking 159 months. Bear in mind, 12 months a year if this will only last for 10 years. So it'll last for 120 years. So it's saying it takes longer to launch the damn thing. But you can see it is kind of like shimmering gold. The infinite opportunities progress bar is filled. So it's ready to launch. So we're just going to launch it. There you go. Over here now is the launched agenda, infinite opportunities. And you can see that the initial modifier has gone to gray, that plus 4% happiness. And now the launched modifier, citizen happiness plus 10%, is white. So we've engaged this sucker. It's going to now last for 10 years. I'm assuming the progress bar runs backwards as it burns out. However, there is no agenda set. This is future agenda. What's our next project? Well, let's click on the agenda list to see what we can do. So for the time being, we have 3 available agendas: evolving society, give and take, or open arms. Below that, we have a section for launched agendas. There's just the one, infinite opportunities. We've launched it, cool for us. And then underneath are unavailable agendas: higher purpose, display of power, preserve the order, progressive growth, strong on our own, and we come in peace. These are grayed out. They're not ready yet because it looks like you need to be a pacifist to do this one, a xenophobe to do this one, a materialist, an authoritarian, so these are your different ethics. The ones we have access to, we get because I'm looking. Oh, I see. You could actually see it right here with your egalitarian ethics attraction. So give and take is the egalitarian agenda policy. Open arms is the xenophile ethics attraction, xenophile policy. And the evolving society is just available to anyone. You could see that it would give us monthly unity and a lot more monthly unity. Oh shit, I would like that. I would like more unity, 100%, because it'll help us get through our traditions faster. And real quickly, if I look at infinite opportunities, that's another generic one. Infinite opportunities does not seem to be tied to an ethics. Open arms and give and take are. There are egalitarian and are xenophile. Infinite opportunities is general, and evolving society is general. So in my mind, well, let's just look at them real quick. I would love some additional unity. It'll give us a little bit more unity right now while we're building up to the launch, 10%, and once we launch, 40%, which is huge. That's almost twice. It's almost a 50% bonus, half as much again. Give and take would yield what? Initially, faction approval. Shit, we don't even have factions yet. That's useless. It's useless right now. Faction resource output, egalitarian ethics attraction. Okay. That would mean, right now, bear in mind that we're more egalitarian than we are xenophile. And I'll show you where we can find that. But we could say, you know what? Let's become even more egalitarian by promoting this agenda. More of our people would become egalitarian. Or we could say, no, we need more xenophile. We could propose this agenda, start working on it, and bit by bit, more of our population would fall under the xenophile ethic. So you can nudge your ethics one way or another. Theoretically, if we found a way to unlock one of the other ethics somehow, if we backed away from being a fanatic egalitarian, we could theoretically get a low level of one of these others. But yeah, it is what it is. Bear in mind, though, that we could have selected any one of these on essentially turn 1 and started benefiting from this. By default, we were benefiting from infinite opportunities. It just made our people a little happier. That was our default selection. But this whole time, we could have been choosing one of these other things that aligned with our ethics that was working into our build, right? Working towards this civilization we're trying to develop. We didn't do that. We missed that opportunity. But yeah. So of the 3 we can choose next, pop growth from immigration. There's no immigration yet. Yeah. These 2 are useless. We want evolving society, 100%. I select it. There it is. And you can see we are benefiting. They're in white. Initial modifier, monthly unity plus 10%. And I would guess this 37 will click up to about 40, 41 when the month rolls around. So we'll keep an eye out for that. So we've looked at our leaders in our council. We've looked at how to assign them. We've looked at the leaders' very specific little strengths. They each have like one strength, essentially, so you can move them around. We looked at edicts. We haven't looked at edicts. So here's the deal. Right now, we have no edict selected. We have an edict fund of 15 unity every month for free. It is special unity, though. It does not go into this pool, and it doesn't come from this pool. We can, for no cost, no impact on our unity we're gathering as a culture, our leader, essentially, our leaders are generating this unity. They can give an edict, and we can do some cool stuff. Over here, these are all of our edicts. This is our cap, our fund. So our base is +10, our ruler gives us +5. Cool. There's ways to increase that. Right now, there's 2 edicts we can choose. The cost is 15. The upkeep is 15. So we can click it right now, and it's not going to cost us anything out here. So our 2 options are fortify the border. So starbase upgrade speed +50%. Starbase capacity +2. That'll take this 3 to a 5. We don't have that many starbases yet. But when we select it, it will stay active forever. It lasts until canceled. It will never go away. And the other one is encourage political thought. This also lasts until canceled, and it's an ethics shift chance of 100%. This edict encourages the population to openly discuss political matters, even if the path taken may lead them astray into other ethics that are not necessarily xenophile or egalitarian. I'm not going to mess with that. I don't want that. But let's just do fortify the border. We could have chosen this right off the bat. I think this is always in there, but let's select it. You'll see that, it did cost us 15 to start. So I take that back. We did have to buy in. However, this upkeep every turn should not come off of this. It should come directly off our fund. So you'll notice this should... You see that the base is 3, fortify the border +2, so that will roll around. So let's advance our turn. Let it roll forward here. See what our ships are doing. Science ship is moving through Bernard Star. I'll pause right there. So I just wanted to take a quick look. You see our starbase cap, it did in fact pop up to 5. And we certainly aren't losing 15 a month here, but I'm surprised that our unity went up 10%, but we are only at 38. Oh, I know why. It's because we hired an extra leader who's taking 2 unity every month. And we have a surplus leader, which is questionable. Questionable if we want that. We're going to deal with it here in a moment. Right now, we see that the starbase outpost is completed at Niam. So let's click on that. Can we double click? Yeah. If I double click on one of these icons, it takes me right in so I can visually see what's happening. So here's our constructor ship right here, little boxy constructor, and here is our very basic outpost. It looks like just a little floating office building. It's pretty lame. It has a moderate amount of armor and shields, hit points, a little bit of military power. It's like the equivalent of 3 Corvettes, right? 3 Corvettes are sitting at 174 military power. This is sitting at 207. So an outpost, to take one, you would need 3 or 4 Corvettes probably to conquer an outpost. Maybe even more, potentially. Okay. Can we do anything with this? Yeah. Can we upgrade it to a starbase? I would think so. Oh, we're under shipyard. Ha! Here we go. Starbase. So if we wanted to promote this to a proper star port, that's the first level of starbase beyond outpost, that would detriment this by 1. It would add to our cap. However, it would unlock some module slots and a building slot. Right now, those are all grayed out. This basic outpost can't do anything really cool. Has a little bit of sensor range, hyperlane detection for incoming Xenos. That's it. It does very little for us except claim this system. Okay, it's ours. And if we jump out, you can see the ghostly blue outline is starting to form, showing that, in fact, we are roping that into our sphere of influence. Now, at this point, we can easily jump into Niam again, and I see that we have a single resource to harvest, the star, at 6 energy. That's well worth it, because remember that that station has an upkeep of 1 energy in tax to maintain it. So this is a +5 net. Very nice. So we're going to click on the constructor, the India. We right click on the star, build mining station for 100. Yeah, let's do it. And she'll go off and she'll do that. One other thing we found that we automatically are benefiting from is there's a little bit of trade from this gas giant. I'm guessing we're scraping helium-3 out of the atmosphere, something like that. Maybe some anti-particles, antimatter. I don't know. Yeah, there you go. So we're getting a little bit of trade with that just for free. And that's probably happening because of the proximity of our true star base here at Earth, the Sol Station. Let's double click in there. Trade collection range is 2. 2, what does 2 mean? Is 2 a distance? No. 2 is systems. The Sol Station can collect trade from up to 2 systems away. You can see that Niam is 1 system away. That's why those 2 trade are automatically pulled in. So trade's an interesting thing. It's a small benefit to your society. Kind of translates into energy for all intents and purposes. But we get to harvest it even without a station. We probably needed the outpost for it, but you don't build a station around a trade center. I guess the idea is that there's private commercial vessels that are going out there doing the harvesting. It's not a part of your government. I guess that would be a way to look at it. No station involved. Okay. Very nice. So the constructor's building that. I know that the Darwin is moving on towards the Turi expanse right now. And our colony ship is nearly done. Ugh, we don't have a colony for him yet. That's rough. There we go. Colony ship. You see the Darwin's in progress. It's going to pass through the Bernard star system and move on to Turi. But here is our colony ship. Just kind of sitting here doing nothing. We think we're going to want it at Alpha Centauri. So let's just scoot it on that way right now. Although there's nothing to colonize yet. It'll be there when we're ready for it. Otherwise, we're building up our influence and our alloys. Because once Alpha Centauri is surveyed completely, we are going to want to build an outpost here. So when I look at our science vessel, they're closing in. Look at, they've only got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, they're getting there.
Blocker cleared.
We cleared a blocker on Earth. You can see how the ship went from the Alpha Centauri B to Alpha Centauri 3, the planet. They're surveying now. They'll get more information about the habitability. So currently, we can't... It's got a question mark on how suitable it is for us. They haven't surveyed it yet. So this detailed science survey is going to show us the planet. And hopefully, our colony ship will really be able to utilize it. Once they're done, they've just got a few more, and we're closing in on capitalizing on the Alpha Centauri system. But Earth just finished clearing a blocker. We're going to jump in there. And the slum is gone. If I go into features, reclamation set, Scandinavian Reclamation Center. Oh, wow. Is that what it... sorry, I just wanted to see if it would show us what it is. Urban Corridor, possibly Biowash Metropolitan Access, Pearl River Agglomerate, Moritarian Security Zone, and the Great Aberton Crater. Interesting. Well, it got us something. It got us an extra population, and it freed up 1 additional district. We were down to 1, so now we have 3 districts. So you can see each of these has 2 possible districts we could develop. Do we want to do that right now? So Earth is just kind of sitting here. I'll tell you what we have a lot of is we have a lot of energy and we have a lot of minerals. What can we do with those? I don't want to build ahead too fast. Let's look at our job situation. You can see we got a clerk back. 3 clerks of 5. The bummer is that we're really suffering on amenities. They are getting used up really fast. I think potentially we should use some of that surplus minerals in one of our surplus building slots and find a better way to get amenities than clerks. We jump into population again. Let's look at clerks here. Our clerk's good. Each clerk will give us plus 1% to trade value for Earth, not the whole just on Earth only, that it generates. Trade value +3, just just 3 trade rings, right? The little diamond ring looking icon, and +3 amenities. The upkeep is the 1 food and 1/5 of a consumer good. That's pretty cheap. That's not very much consumer good. That's nice. Let's compare that to a miner. That miner is going to take the same amount of food, the same amount of consumer good upkeep, and they'll produce 7.8 mineral. So that's the trade-off. Is some trade value and amenities versus a handful of minerals, nothing else. What about energy? The energy person produces 11.7. Not insignificant. Granted, energy has, I don't want to say energy is the most versatile thing, but you have to convert it oftentimes to get anything useful for it. You pay your taxes in energy, a lot of upkeep, and clearing blockers usually takes energy. So, not a bad thing. And the food, finally, 11.7 food. Yeah, it looks like food is roughly equivalent to energy, 1-to-1 basis. We have more than enough food right now up here. We're sitting at +37 still. Let's take a look at these specialist jobs. Researcher is yielding us 666 for each of the types of research, but at a hefty 2.5 consumer goods. That's no joke. Now, we're still sitting at +19 consumer goods per month, so we have headroom. We can add more jobs. What about enforcers? It gives us a little bit of stability and reduces crime. Okay, yeah, I mean, we have 0 crime. Nice, sure. Bureaucrats gives us unity. I would always like more unity. Trader. This is kind of like an upgraded up-jumped clerk, in my opinion. Gives us +8 trade value, but no amenity. Little less consumer goods than the bureaucrat or the scientist. Enforcers take very little consumer goods. Meddler just take a half a consumer good and 6 mineral. Quite a bit of upkeep there to generate that alloy. And an artisan takes a little bit of consumer good, which is funny. 6 mineral, their food, and then makes 12.3 consumer good. Okay. All that's not bad, but here's what I think I want. Let's look at the buildings. I would like a theater if I can get it. A movie theater or something that will produce amenities. I see the commercial zone. Gives me clerk jobs. It produces, well, they produce, it gives it 2 clerk jobs and a trader job. That's not bad. But let's jump up here to amenities, the musical notes. Hollow theater or luxury residence. So check this out. A luxury residence is just an apartment building, fancy apartment building. It gives you 3 more housing. I think it's the only way to get housing from buildings, FYI. You usually get your housing from districts. And it would generate 5 amenity. Interestingly, that is not based on anyone's job. It's just the luxury living gives you amenity. It's one of the rare little bonuses like that. It's an unusual building. I don't recommend putting your money into luxury living, though. The hollow theater is the better bet. Here we go. For 400 mineral and 2 upkeep forever per turn, we can get 2 entertainer jobs. Those entertainers will turn consumer goods into unity and amenities. We want both of those. So yeah, essentially it's going to take 2 consumer good upkeep for the 2 positions, so 1 and 1. But I think it's just 1 person. One of the positions will take 2 consumer goods, I believe. But that 1 entertainer will put out 4.5 culture. Why am I for unity? Sorry. And plus 20 amenities? Is that right? Yeah. I like the Hollow Theater because you build one of those and it pretty much fixes your amenity needs forever. That's why I want it. And I want the unity. Yeah. Yeah. Let's do it. Boom. Select it. There it is. In a year, that Hollow Theater will be done. Probably will snatch away 2 of the 3 clerks. But we'll lose that trade value, but we'll more than make up for the amenity, and we'll gain the unity. There you go. Let's close that down. So Earth has something to work on. The India is working. Colony ship is en route. And our science vessels are doing what they can do. I'm going to zoom out to our view here. And I think that's where we'll wrap it up for this session. So the main things we looked at today were the government tab, right? We looked at edicts, we looked at agendas, we looked a little bit at leaders in general, and the big one was our society management, which we're moving through our first tradition tree. Cool. The next one I want again is going to be that +1 to colonist. Actually, this is all working out for the best, because if I were to plop down a colony ship on a planet before I got this in 8 months, I wouldn't gain that free extra pop. It's not retroactive. So it's fine that we need to wait a little bit for the science ship to finish surveying, have the constructor build the outpost, do all that. What could we do, though? We're generating a lot of alloy. Before we end our session, let's jump into the Sol Station, and let's have them work on another constructor. Boom. There you go. So the one constructor will be following one science ship, the other constructor will follow the other, and we'll be sending out colony ships as we find habitable worlds. That's where we leave off. And so on the next episode, we will really focus on getting our first colony done. All right? If you watched, thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.